Hello everyone, welcome to Vinyasa Flow Yoga. My name is Michelle Chua. For today's practice specifically, you'll want to have a blanket that you can fold up to the thickness of about 1 to 2 inches. And you may like to have a strap, especially if you've got tightness in the front of the shoulders. And let's begin in any comfortable seat of your choice. You might prop your pelvis up on that blanket. So I watched another documentary last night, and it was called From Stress to Happiness. And it was about this man in Argentina who went on a trip to Patagonia with a Buddhist monk who was teaching him how to meditate and practice mindfulness. And his issue was feeling overwhelmed with stress of daily life, of work, and all the things that he had to tend to as a father and as a husband and as a human being. And so I loved what one of the monks actually said to him when he approached this 92-year-old monk and asked him, "What do I do about fear and anxiety?" And the monk said, "Do you trust life?" And the main character, I think Alejandro, said, "I don't know. It's hard to. I'm always in a stress mode. I'm always in a fight or flight reaction." And so the monk went on to talk about how when you go to bed at night, you put yourself in bed, you set up the conditions, but you don't take yourself into sleep. Life cuddles you into a sleep. And when you eat food, you don't make your food be digested in your body. It's life, all the thousands of enzymes that are moving and breaking down the nourishment, all of that digestive system and all the many systems that are happening involuntarily. That is life making things happen. And when you have a problem and you're thinking of a solution and you ask yourself the question, it's life that brings you the ideas. So how can you not trust life? Life has been carrying you forward and giving you safety and health and your bodily functions through these many years. And I just love the way that he put that. Trust life. And that is the essence of one of the practices of the first limb of yoga, aparigraha, which literally translates to non-grasping, non-attaching, which can definitely stem from fear and anxiety. So as we learn to trust life, see the miracles that are happening everywhere, all the time, in nature, in your own body, then we remember how much we're being supported. So with that being said, let's connect to the body. Sit up tall, root down to your pelvis. Maybe close your eyes as you're still. Observe the sensations in your body. What's happening in your feet right now, what's happening in your pelvis, so on and so forth. Observe the way that your body is breathing without you even having to tend to that. Notice how life is being breathed through you. Now sense your mental and emotional state. Does anything feel activated in you? Let's begin to deepen the breath, inhaling through your nose. And a few times exhaling through your lips. Slowing your breath down without straining it. Enjoy the depth of the breath. Welcome the full expansion and release. And now you might bring your palms to meet at your heart as you center on an intention for this practice or personal prayer. strengthening qualities like compassion, open-mindedness, clear seeing or trust, non-attachment, whatever it is for you. And another way of practicing aparigraha is to dedicate your practice to someone else or something else. So choose someone you care about or a community or cause, and I invite you to offer this practice to them. And let's open space, chanting Om 3 times together, creating resonance. Inhale deeply. Let's begin to lengthen the breath evenly just through the nose, so that with the lips closed, you begin to create a soft whispering sound by gently narrowing the back of your throat. Beginning the practice of Ujjayi Pranayama, which means victorious breathing. So now regulating your breath, helping to affect your nervous system to a state of balance, and giving your mind a gentle sound to listen to and bridge it with the present moment. So keep balancing this gently audible breath. And let's make our way onto hands and knees, starting with a few rounds of cat-cow pose. Set your knees a couple inches behind your hips. Set your wrists right under your shoulders. Spread the fingers flat. And as you inhale, glide your chest through your upper arms and coil it up, dropping the shoulders. As you exhale, press down with your hands and contract your belly, rounding your back. Keep going a few more times here in Virasana, cat-cow pose. Now at the end of your next exhalation, tuck your toes and lift your hips into Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog. Spending the first 5 breaths there, moving your body any way that you might need to loosen it up. Maybe pedaling your feet slowly in place, shaking and nodding your head. Keep the breath rhythm going. As you spread your fingers flat, lift your hips high and sink your heels towards the ground, even if they don't touch it. Know that you can bend your knees any amount to create sort of a flat back as you drop your head and soften the back of your neck. Let's be still for 2 more breaths. Firming your belly inward towards your spine. Press your chest back towards your shins. And roll your triceps or outer upper arms towards the floor, broadening across your shoulder blades. Walking up to the top of your mat, enter a forward fold. Separate your feet at least hips width, parallel. Then bending your knees, reach your hands behind your back to clasp or hold a strap between your hands. As you inhale, lift your chest forward and roll the shoulders behind your ears, causing extension of the shoulders. As you exhale, fold in and drop your head loosely, stretching the arms forward away from your lower back. Keep a little bend in your elbows as if you're pulling the hands apart to help you lift the shoulders up away from your neck. Couple more deep breaths. Uttanasana. Standing forward fold. Now release your arms and root down to your feet as you inhale to sweep your arms forward, lifting up to stand. Roll your shoulders behind your ears and down, but firming in the lower belly, stretch the tailbone towards the earth, right between the heels. Coil your chest up into a little back bend, looking up. Take another deep breath. As you exhale, join your palms to meet at your heart. And let's begin Surya Namaskar C for 2 rounds. Sun Salutation C. Inhale, sweep your arms forward. Find that gentle back bend again as you look up. Exhale, bow over your legs and place your fingertips outside your feet. Inhale, step your left knee behind you and look up, kneeling lunge. Hold your breath as you step to plank pose. Exhale, first lower your knees, then your chest, then your chin, hugging the elbows to your ribs, sticking the tailbone up. Inhale, slide your belly to the ground, straightening the legs, coil your chest up to cobra pose. Exhale, tuck your toes, press up to downward facing dog. Inhale, step your left foot forward beside your left thumb and lower your back knee looking up. Exhale, step your right foot forward and fold. Press to your feet. Inhale, sweep your arms forward, rise into a gentle standing back bend. Exhale your hands to meet at your heart. Listen to the breath. Inhale, sweep your arms forward, coil your chest up. Exhale, bow over your legs. Plant your fingertips. Inhale, step your right knee back and look up. Holding your breath, step to plank pose. Exhale, lower knees, chest, then chin. Inhale, slide to the ground in cobra pose. Exhale, press up to downward facing dog. Inhale, step your right foot beside your right thumb and lower your back knee, look up. Exhale, step your left foot forward and fold. Inhale, sweep your arms forward, coil your chest and look up. Exhale, bring your hands together at your heart. Let's move on to Sun Salutation A. Inhale, sweep your arms forward and coil your chest up. Exhale, forward fold. Press into blocks or the ground ahead. Inhale, stretch your spine parallel to the floor. Plant your hands flat, step into plank pose. Let's pause for 3 breaths. Firm your inner heels back, keeping the legs straight, or lower your knees on the ground right under your hips. Stack your shoulders right over your wrists and rotate your triceps towards the back wall as you look at the ground just ahead of your thumbs. Exhaling, glide forward and bend your elbows 90 degrees, hugging your ribs. Chaturanga. Then lower all the way for cobra or flip your toes here and coil the chest into upward facing dog. Exhale, lift your hips to downward facing dog. And this time, let your body be still for 3 breaths. Set your eyes on one spot, steadying your gaze, your drishti. After your 3rd exhale, walk or lightly jump to the top of your mat. Inhale, press with your fingertips and lengthen your spine forward, Arda Uttanasana. Exhale, bow, Uttanasana. Press to your feet. Inhale, sweep your arms forward. Rise to stand in Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale your hands to your heart in Padasana. One more round. Inhale, Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, Uttanasana. Inhale, Arda Uttanasana. Step to plank or float to Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhale, Bhujangasana Cobra or Urdhva Mukha Svanasana, upward facing dog. Exhale, Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog for 3 breaths in stillness.
After your third exhale, walk or lightly jump to the top of your mat. Bring your feet together to touch this time. Inhale, Arda Uttanasana. Exhale, Uttanasana. Inhale, Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, Padasana. Let's prepare for 2 rounds of Surya Namaskar B. We'll break down the first round. With your feet touching, bend your knees together to touch, and inhale, sit low in chair pose, Utkatasana, leaning back towards your heels as you raise your arms. Exhale, bow over your legs, Uttanasana. Press down with your fingertips. Inhale, Arda Uttanasana. Step to plank or float to Chaturanga Dandasana, taking it through your Vinyasa, Cobra, or Upward Facing Dog. From Downward Facing Dog, keeping your 2 hips leveled. Inhale, raise your right leg behind you. Exhale, softly land the foot beside your right thumb so that your feet are hips width apart as you drop the back heel down. Keeping your 2 hips facing forward, press through your feet, and inhale, raise your arms overhead as you rise into Warrior One. Let's hold for 3 breaths. Bending your front knee just over the heel, scissor your right hip back. Straightening your left leg entirely, press the outer heel down and rotate your inner left thigh towards the back wall. On your next exhalation, lower through plank into your Vinyasa. From Downward Facing Dog, side 2. Keep your 2 hips leveled and inhale, raise your left leg back. Exhale, step the foot softly beside your left thumb, dropping your right heel, separating your feet hips width apart. With both your frontal hip bones facing forward, inhale, rise up into Virabhadrasana 1. Bending your front knee just over the heel, scissor the left hip back. Straightening your right leg entirely, press the outer heel down and rotate the inner right thigh towards the back wall. On your next exhale, lower all the way down, finishing a Vinyasa. When you arrive in Downward Dog, pause. Reattune to your breathing for 3 cycles. After the 3rd exhale, walk or float to the top. With feet touching, inhale, Arda Uttanasana. Exhale, Uttanasana. With knees touching, inhale, sit back in chair or Utkatasana. Exhale, rise up to Padasana. Now let's flow through the last Surya Namaskar B. Inhale, Utkatasana. Exhale, Uttanasana. Inhale, Arda Uttanasana. Step or float back to Chaturanga Dandasana. Continue through your Vinyasa. When you arrive at Adho Mukha Svanasana, inhale, raise your right leg. Exhale the foot beside your right thumb and drop the back heel. Inhale, rise to Virabhadrasana 1. Exhale to lower and flow into your Vinyasa. From Adho Mukha Svanasana, side 2, inhale, raise your left leg. Exhale the foot beside your left thumb, dropping the back heel. Inhale, rise to Virabhadrasana 1. Exhale, lower into a Vinyasa. At Downward Facing Dog again, pause for 3 breaths, refining your concentration. When you finish your third exhale, walk or float to the front of your mat. With feet touching, inhale Arda Uttanasana. Exhale Uttanasana. With knees touching, inhale Utkatasana. Exhale Padasana, rising up. Beautiful. And then from here, separate your feet hips distance. Step the left foot back 2/3 as far as you did in your warrior one. Slightly shorter stance. And this time keep your legs straight, both feet entirely on the floor, both hips facing forward. Bring your arms behind your back. So find that extension of the shoulders in which you either hold opposite forearms or elbows, or palm to palm in reverse prayer, fingertips pointing up towards between the shoulder blades. Firm your legs, root down through spread toes, firm in the belly. Then inhale, tilt your chest up. Peel the shoulders down the back. Exhale, start to bow towards your innervation. Each inhale, pause where you are, root down to your feet, and stretch your spine further forward, squaring or leveling your hips. Exhale, continue to fold. Parsvottanasana, pyramid pose. Pressing through your feet, inhale, lift your spine parallel to the ground. Lower the left hand on the left side of your foot, maybe on a block. Use your right hand to draw the right outer hip back just enough to re-level your hips. As you root through both feet, inhale, stretch your spine parallel to the floor. Keep your hips level, then exhale, turn your chest towards the right wall, raising your right arm. Evolve triangle. If your balance feels pretty stable and you want to take your twist further, you can place your left hand on the right side of your front foot. Keep firming your outer hips towards your midline so that you're not twisting at your pelvis or lower back. Rather, you're twisting at your waistline. Arda Chandrasana, revolved triangle pose. 3 more breaths. Look at your right foot and lower your 2 hands to frame it. Inhale, lengthen the spine forward. Exhale, step the left foot hips distance from the right. Bring your hands to your hips and point your elbows up. Lead with your chest and inhale to rise up. Let's step the right foot back 2/3 as far as you did in warrior one, keeping your feet hips width apart, straightening the legs, and keeping your hips facing forward. Bring your arms behind your back again, now either holding the opposite forearm or elbow on top, or again, reverse prayer. Inhale, lift your chest, look up. Exhale, start to hinge from your hips, pausing as you inhale to reroute your legs, activating them, and stretch your spine down the midline of the mat. Firm in the belly as you're folding forward. Pyramid pose or Parsvottanasana. Engaging the belly as you inhale to lift your spine parallel to the ground. Lower the right hand on the right side of your front foot, maybe using a block. Place your left hand on your left outer hip, gently drawing it back as you stretch the crown of your head down the center line of your mat. Breathe in. Exhale, begin to rotate your rib cage, turning the chest to face the left wall. Raise your left arm up, entering revolved triangle pose, or Parita Trikonasana. Now, if you did so on the first side, and your balance feels stable here enough to walk the right hand to the left side of the foot, you can go even further.
Feel the balance of your hips and direct your spine to trace the midline of your mat, pressing the shoulders down your back. Let's give it another 3 deep breaths. Look at your left foot, lower your hands to frame it, and this time step back to downward facing dog. Downward facing dog. Inhale, raise your right leg behind you. Exhale, round into plank. Bend the knee towards your nose and press the ground away with your hands to really dome the spine. Lightly step your foot between your hands for warrior 2, aligning right heel to arch of back foot. When you arrive in warrior 2, wrap the left arm behind your back. You might catch hold of the top of the right thigh. Keep the right knee bending to trace the midline of the mat. Lift your spine and sink your hips, side bending towards your rear wall in peaceful warrior for a few breaths. As your left arm is wrapped behind you, encourage the front of your left shoulder to open. Breathe down the right side of your torso. Rising up to stand, keep the wrap of your left arm and straighten your right leg, preparing for a bound version or a half bound version of triangle pose. Turn the right palm to face down and glide your hips sideways towards your rear wall as you reach your right fingertips forward towards the front wall. Lengthen the right side of your torso and place your right hand on the right side of your right calf, either on a block or the floor. Firming your arm and your right leg against each other, rotate your chest slightly to face the sky, firming in the belly. Slide the shoulders down your back and wrap your right outer hip underneath you as you continue to tack the crease of the right hip back towards your outer left foot. And lengthen the top of your head towards the front wall. 3 more breaths here in bound Trikonasana. Now, as we move on to half moon pose, you might place the left hand on your left hip to help you transition. Bend your right knee and place your right hand 6 inches forward into the right upper corner of your right pinky toe. Drag in your left foot and flex it off the floor, raising the left leg to trace the midline of your mat. So the legs are oriented similarly as in triangle pose. The right leg hasn't changed. From here, you can raise the left arm up. If your balance feels pretty stable, I invite you to come into the bound version of half moon, which is called Artachandra Chapasana. To get there, bend your left knee towards your stomach. Use your left hand to catch the top of your left ankle or foot. Kick your left foot away towards the rear wall as you pull the foot towards your glute. So your left knee points towards the back wall, not the ceiling. As you're rolling the left shoulder back, broadening the chest, keep firming in the belly. Whatever variation of Arda Chandrasana you're in, let's give it another 3 deep breaths, steadying your eyes. If your left knee is bent, straighten the leg, flex the foot, bend your right knee and softly land in warrior 2. From warrior 2, cartwheel your hands to the ground. Let's meet in downward facing dog, whether or not you opt to take a vinyasa first. Feel into the quality of the breath. Sense the steadiness of your focus. From downward dog, inhale, raise your left leg behind you. Exhale, round forward into plank. Bend the knee towards your nose and press the ground away with your hands, lifting the navel high. Step the foot between your hands and spin the right heel down, aligning heel to arch. Cartwheel your arms to warrior two. Then wrap the right arm behind your back. Maybe catch the top of the left thigh. Keep your left knee bent, facing the midline of your mat. Flip the left palm up as you sink your hips. Inhale, lift your spine, and side bend towards your rear wall. Peaceful warrior. Notice that this posture is not a back bend in which the chest would be facing the ceiling. Instead, it's a side bend. The chest is entirely facing the right wall. You're opening the left side. Breathe into it. Keep the wrap of the right arm and rise up to stand with the left leg straight. Flip the left palm face down to enter bound triangle. Glide your hips sideways towards your rear wall and reach the left hand way past your left knee before placing it on the left side of your left calf on a block of the floor where your arm and leg firm against each other as you wrap the left outer hip under you. Rotate your chest slightly to face the sky with the help of this bound arm. And draw your two shoulders down your back as you lengthen your spine towards the front wall. Keep tacking the crease of your left hip back towards your outer right foot. Now land your eyes on one spot. Let's listen to 3 more breaths in Trikonasana. Gaze down just ahead of your left toes, preparing for Arda Chandrasana. You might bring the right hand to your right hip to help you transition. Bend your left knee, plant your left fingertips 6 inches ahead into the left of your left pinky toe. Drag your right foot forward and flex the foot, lifting the right leg to trace the midline of your mat, about parallel to the floor. Left leg has not changed since triangle pose. Turn your chest completely to face your right wall, stacking your shoulders over your left wrist. Either raise your right arm up, or maybe come into Chapasana if you did so on the first side. If your balance feels pretty stable, bend your right knee towards your belly. Use your right hand to catch the top of the ankle or foot. Kick the foot back as you pull it towards your glute, pointing the right knee towards the rear wall as you roll the right shoulder back. Continue to firm in the belly here. Land your eyes on one spot, and let's listen for 3 more full breaths. If your right knee is bent, straighten the leg and flex the foot again. Bending your left knee, softly step back to warrior two. Warrior two, cartwheel your hands to the floor. Let's meet in downward facing dog, whether you choose to take a vinyasa or not. Few breaths in downward facing dog. Inhale, raise the right leg behind you. Exhale, step the foot beside your right thumb, drop the back heel, warrior one. Inhale, rise up to stand. Here, interlace your fingers behind your lower back, roll the shoulders back and down, and hug the bottom of your front ribs inward towards your back. Lengthen your tailbone downward as you lift your frontal hip bones, squaring your hips to face forward. Warrior three with hands clasped behind the lower back. Start to tilt your torso forward, firm in the belly, lift the back heel, and lean into warrior three, flexing the left foot off the ground. Spiral the inner thigh towards the ceiling and roll your left outer hip to face the floor. Tack your right outer hip back and stretch your torso forward. Another 3 breaths. Now, you do have the option of lowering your hands on blocks or the floor if you're needing more support. Breathe.
Lower your fingertips on blocks or the ground, standing splits. Lift your chest, breathe in. Keep lifting the left leg and squaring your hips as you bow towards your right shin. Maybe walking the hands closer to your right foot. Maybe wrapping an arm or two around the right calf. 3 more breaths. Lower your fingertips, inhale, look forward, bend the right knee, step back the left foot, and step into downward facing dog. For the sake of time, let's go right into downward dog. Inhale, raise your left leg behind you. Exhale, step the foot beside your left thumb, drop the back heel, warrior one. Inhale, rise up. Backstroke your arms and interlace the opposite thumb on top behind your lower back. Roll your shoulders back and down. Hug in the bottom of your front ribs and lengthen your tailbone downward as you lift your frontal hip bones, turning both hips equally to face forward. Tilting your torso forward, start to shift your weight entirely onto your left foot, flexing the right foot off the floor in Virabhadrasana 3. Roll your inner right thigh towards the sky. Turn your right outer hip towards the ground. Press back through your inner right heel and grow the torso towards the front wall. Send the left hip back. Last 3 breaths. Steady your gaze, steady your breathing. Lower your fingertips in front of you on blocks or the floor. Inhale, lift your chest. Keep lifting the right leg from the inseam. Exhale, bow towards your left shin, standing split. Keep turning the right hip down. Maybe walk the hands closer to the left foot. Maybe wrap an arm or two around the calf. 3 more breaths. This time, lower your fingertips. Inhale, lift the chest, look forward. Exhale, step the right foot beside the left, forward fold. Bend your knees and come on down to sit. So preparing for inverted plank pose. We'll start in tabletop variation, move on to inverted plank as an option. So separate your feet hips width apart and place your hands behind your pelvis with your fingertips facing the rear edge of your mat. Watch me first. We will press down through the feet and hands and lift the pelvis. This requires engaging your glutes and hamstrings to stretch the thighs forward until your torso and thighs are parallel to the floor, your knees stack over your heels, and your shoulders stack over your wrists. We'll draw the shoulder blades down the back, looking up, lengthening the back in front of the neck. So when you're ready, press your hands and feet down, lift your pelvis, stretch the fronts of your thighs forward, lift your chest and press the shoulder blades down your back. Count about 5 breaths before you lower to sit. Stretching the tailbone towards the space between your knees. Also strengthening for the shoulders. When you're ready, lower your pelvis, come down to sit. Circle out your hands to stretch your wrists. Maybe gently turn your head. Deep breaths. So inverted plank pose is with the legs straight. That was inverted tabletop. Let me demonstrate. So now we'll step the soles of the feet on the ground, and you can decide if you want the fingertips to face the rear edge of the mat or this time to face the front edge if you want to switch up the stretch in the wrists and forearms. We'll press the soles of the feet flat onto the ground. Contract the glutes, the hamstrings, and lift up. So take your choice. Maybe you stay with knees bent. Maybe you start with knees bent and then walk the feet forward. Or you start with legs straight, pressing the soles of the feet on the ground. 5 breaths, your count. Parsvottanasana, inverted plank pose.
lowered to sit. Come down to hands and knees. Let's give the wrists a stretch. Make fists out of your hands. Give yourself a fist bump. And lean the backs of your fist bumps about a foot in front of your knees on the ground, flaring your elbows apart off the ground. Gently shift your weight forward to the amount of stretch you want to feel. And relax your jaw, neck, and shoulders. Deep breaths. Lean back onto your shins, shake out your arms and hands, and let's prepare for supine hero's pose, opening up the fronts of the thighs, your quadriceps. So notice how you're able to sit in hero's pose first. Maybe you can sit directly on your calves and your body feels fine with that. If it doesn't, take a block and sit on it between your ankles. Make sure whatever way you're sitting, your toes are pointed back, your knees are no wider apart than hips distance. Now, if you were able to sit on your calves, you might go further and roll the calves aside with your hands and sit on the ground right between the ankles. Not forcing anything, just listening to the sensations in your body, guiding you to the parameters appropriate for you. Now from here, whichever way you're sitting in hero's pose, hug the bottom front ribs in, elongate the tailbone down, and see if it's available for you to start to lean your torso back slowly. We're going to take about 10 breaths to explore the range. Leaning back, stretch the tailbone forward. You might lower onto your forearms. Keep breathing consciously here. You might lower flat onto your back. Just find what's available for you, where you can be still in for the total of 10 breaths. Press your knees onto the floor. Press your pinky toenails onto the floor. And then when you're ready, gently begin to lift your torso slowly. Come down to hands and knees and lower onto your stomach, lying face down. Take a moment here, a few breaths. Let's prepare for our last few back bends, starting in bow pose, Urasana. Slide your knees as close together as you can and bend them. With your hands, reach hold of your outer feet or your inner feet. Press your pubic bone into the ground and kick your feet back as you pull them towards your glutes. Lifting your knees high, coil your chest up and press the shoulder blades down your back. Look on the ground ahead to lengthen the back of your neck and keep your knees no wider apart than hips distance. Give yourself maybe 5 more breaths before you let go to rest. Once you've let it go, you might make a pillow out of your hands to rest your forehead on and windshield wiper your shins side to side for a few breaths. Then let's slide into child's pose, stretching the arms forward as you press your hips down to your feet, feet together, knees together or apart. Stretching the lower back especially here. Walk your hands back, roll up to sit, and step your feet in front of you as you sit at the center of your mat. One more back bend, bridge pose. Separate your feet hips width apart, parallel to each other, and lower onto your back. Bring your arms down by your sides to locate your feet. Have your heels where you could almost touch them with your fingertips, but not that close. Press the backs of your shoulders down and tilt your chin slightly away from your chest. Press the four corners of each foot down and prepare to lift your hips, staying lifted for 5 to 7 breaths of your count. When you lift your hips, keep your thighs parallel, press through the insteps and the outer edges of your feet equally. Walk your upper arms closer together under your back ribs. Keep your arms straight. If your hands touch, you might interlace your fingers. Activate your hamstrings by conjuring up the feeling of dragging the heels back towards your glutes without moving your feet. Stretch the front of your thighs forward and spin your inner thighs slightly towards the ground without pivoting your feet. Feel the breath, feel life force energy circulating through your lungs. Setu Bandha Sarvangasana, bridge pose. When you're ready to come down, use an exhale to carefully lower upper back, middle back, tailbone last. Lift your feet and wrap the right leg over the left. Scoot your hips towards the right edge of your mat. Open your right arm on the ground, ground the shoulder, and then twist to your left. Roll onto your back, wrap the left leg over the right, and slide your hips closer to the left edge of your mat. Open your left arm wide on the floor, grounding the shoulder, lift your feet, and twist to your right. Now come back to center, uncross your legs, and hug your knees into your chest. Rocking forward and back until you can rise up to sit. Straighten the legs in front of you for Pashimotonasana. Flex the feet. Optional to use a strap around the balls of your feet, giving enough slack so you can roll the shoulders back and down. Lift your chest. Inhale. Exhale as you fold for 5 breaths. Now those of you that can reach hold of your big toes, using your peace fingers to clasp them, make sure you're not rounding your back. You're not tensing the shoulders to close off the neck. You're peeling the shoulder blades down your back, keeping a little lift in the chest, and keeping your throat open. Then press downward to your hips and lift upward to your heart, breathing in to rise. Now let's prepare for shoulder stand. So there are different ways to come up into it. You don't want to swing your hips up, right? Because your neck is very delicate. You want to keep the curvature of your neck, and that's what this folded blanket is for. So take your folded blanket, smoothen it out, fold it to the thickness of 1 to 2 inches, and use the smooth edge of the fold to place facing the rear edge of your mat, about 1.5 feet inward from the rear edge of your mat. So we're going to prop our shoulder heads about 1/2 inch inward from the smooth folded edge of the blanket so that you can lay the back of your head on the floor and your neck will be in the space between the blanket and the floor. This is to prevent flattening the back of your neck on the ground when you lift your hips. And to help you lift your hips without swinging the legs, you could prop up a pillow in front of you in which you'll step off of with your feet and start to lift one leg from. So you want to do it with control. That's why we did those inverted plank poses, inverted tabletop, and we did a lot of this movement, right? Extension of the shoulders to prepare us for this. So come on down, place your shoulder heads an inch, about 1/2 inch or 1 inch inward from the folded edge of the blanket. Just adjust it to your body so that your neck is not flattened on anything. your neck is actually curved and it's in the space between the blanket and the floor. Then plug your elbows on the ground really close to your side ribs. Press down firmly through the backs of the shoulders and your outer upper arms. Use your feet to push off of the pillow. Lift your pelvis like bridge pose. Lift it high, you might come up to your tiptoes. Place your hands on your lower back. Walk the elbows closer together. Now start to lift one leg. Lift up both legs without kicking the legs up. Got to use your core muscles to lift the tailbone towards the inner heels and create a vertical line. So those of you that have no neck injuries should be coming into full shoulder stand. If you have neck issues, you can instead keep your pelvis on the floor, press your feet down, and put a block under your sacrum, supported shoulder stand. So you'll be resting on the block and then lifting the legs straight up instead. Those of you that are full on in shoulder stand, press down with your outer upper arms and shoulders, tilt your chin away from your chest, maintain the natural curvature of your neck without flattening the back of your neck on the ground. From here, you might bring a leg overhead, bring the other leg overhead, and either hold your lower back some more or straighten the arms like bridge pose and clasp the fingers. Continue to press down with your outer upper arms and lift the hips up. Here is Plow Pose or Halasana. So plow and shoulder stand, Salamba Shadvangasana, help to activate the parasympathetic response of the nervous system, which is the rest and digest response. So relaxation. It's restorative, boosts your circulation, as do all the inversions, and it's considered the queen of asanas, which has the lunar energy of calming and yin, whereas headstands are considered the king of asanas, which have the yang active energy, activating the sympathetic nervous system. So as well as boosting circulation, this also helps digestion. Place your hands on your lower back to start to lower one vertebra at a time, very slowly, upper back, middle back, pelvis last. Once your feet are on the ground, you can remove the blanket from underneath you. And let's prepare for fish pose, last asana before corpse pose. Straighten the legs forward and bring your feet together to touch. Slide your palms face down underneath your pelvis so that your thumbs meet. Tilt your chin back as far as you comfortably can. Some of you might lift your shoulders off the floor and bring the crown of the head to the ground. Fish pose. Breathe in through the nose. Open the mouth wide, stick out the tongue, lion's breath. Take 4 more on your own. Savasana Pranayama, cleansing, cooling breath. When you finish the last lion's breath, slip your palms out from underneath. Lower your spine to the floor. Hug your bent knees into your chest. Maybe lift the head and shoulders and give yourself a hug. Take a deep breath in. Hold the breath as you squeeze in tight. Then through your mouth, empty the breath slowly and stretch your legs to splay out. Feet wider than hips width apart. Turn the palms up by your sides and walk your shoulder blades down your back ribs. Settle into stillness as you close your eyes and let go of doing. Trust life supporting you as you just let your body be breathed into. Savasana. We'll be here for a few minutes in stillness before meditation. As you continue to lie in Shavasana with eyes closed, notice the way your body feels now. Mindfully scan your body. Feel the way in which your body is breathing naturally. And notice your mental and emotional state. Sense the effects of your practice. As you continue to tune inward, begin to move your body slowly. Start with small parts gently. Ease into a simple stretch. Then turning over to your right side, rest your head for a moment on your arm. Pause. Then as you feel ready, press your hands into the earth. Slowly lift your torso, lifting your head last. Transitioning in this mindful, gradual way, rather than abruptly rising up to sit, to meditate, carries on the feeling tone that we have been spending the last hour cultivating. Easing the body into a relaxed state, easing the mind into a peaceful state, so that it can be easier for us to be still in meditation. Sit in a way that grounds you. Lift the spine tall, relax the shoulders and lift the heart. Place your hands in a way that helps you to focus. Palms facing up, stacked on your lap, thumb tips touching, or thumb and index fingers touching. Either close your eyes or steady a soft gaze at eye level. And for this meditation, I invite you to cultivate the feeling tone or bhavanam of wonderment. First, begin by reflecting on all the ways that life is continuously and has been supporting you. Start from something as simple and immediate as the breath. Notice how your body is being breathed into without you having to do any work. Cultivate wonderment of your digestive system, your circulatory system, your nervous system, all the different systems in your body that are working collaboratively and harmoniously for you to be sitting here right now, awake and alert, calm. Continue reflecting on all the other ways that life is producing miracles all around you. The flowers that bloom in your garden, the fruits that ripen for your nourishment. Amplify the feeling tone of wonderment. Wonderment of the magic of life. Feel into the ways that your body heals when you get a cut on your finger. When we don't stand in the way of our body healing, notice its natural ability to come back to equilibrium. Through the feeling of wonderment, Tap into that feeling of trust in life. Trust how life nourishes and supports your well-being. Trust that you don't need to know what happens next, but you are equipped to receive what happens next. As you let go of this meditation practice, sit in a moment of silence, just being with yourself in full presence. Joining your palms together at your heart. Remember the intention that you came here with. Bring that to mind. And remember to whom or what you dedicated this practice to. Visualize them receiving benefit. And let's close together, chanting one Om. Inhale deeply. Bow in towards your heart center, acknowledging the light within. The light in me bows to the light in you. Namaste.